Hello, ladies. Welcome to our team call. It's the 3rd of September, can you believe? And today I'm going to talk a little bit about, I guess, kind of the power of consistency and kind of like the power of mindset shifts and some of those sorts of things. So Charlie asked me, could I possibly share what I've been doing the last sort of few months? And there was a couple of things that kind of rang true for me in terms of like momentum and all of that sort of stuff. So I wanted to share a little bit about some of the actual things that I've been doing. But for me, I also wanted to share a little bit more about some of the philosophies I think I've probably been telling myself, which is kind of, I think has been a bit of a game changer in my own brain, which has had then an impact on how I'm sharing, how I'm coaching and what I'm doing as a whole. So I thought that would be really helpful. So one of the first things that I kind of think about in terms of consistency, and, you know, Scotty said this to me when I first joined. He said, you know, you've got to read The Compound Effect. It was like, that's the first book you've got to read. And the reason why you've got to read it is because, you know, essentially building a business doesn't take 5 minutes. Becoming your own CEO in whatever business you do, it's not going to happen overnight. Change isn't going to happen overnight. The person that you want to be in 5 years' time isn't the person that you're now. So there is a lot of work that you have to do. And, you know, let's be honest, that can compound positively or it can compound negatively. So it was a really great starter for me to kind of realize, you know, I'm not going to be diamond overnight. I'm not going to be hitting these crazy success club numbers, which, to be fair, isn't really what I'm about anyway, because who's got time to hit SC100? Let's be honest. You know, and that's kind of not where I'm at, because I also want to balance it in terms of life and family and everything. But there is something for me, you know, I've been a coach now almost 3 years, and I've only hit diamond today. I did have a plan that I wanted to hit it in 90 days, but it just didn't happen. And the reason why that didn't happen is because that isn't what I put my energy into. I didn't put, you know, the whole thing about, you know, your focus, your energy goes where your focus flows and all of that sort of stuff. For me, it was actually more about getting people starting and being consistent with my own journey and being able to make the changes in me in order for me to be able to think about even growing a team. So, you know, I also didn't want this to overtake my life. And, you know, however much you see people like Amy Silverman sat on a beach, or Hayley Christian doing all these wonderful things, they do a lot of hours. And I remember hearing, especially something that Amy Silverman, something that came through, was you see her on the beach in those pictures, she's there for 20 minutes and then she's back working her business and she works 14 hours a day. That's why she's a top coach. Melanie Mitchell, you know, these ladies aren't putting in an hour a day. So be comparing ourselves to those people. We know that comparison is the death of all joy anyway. Or that lovely Trent Sheldon, is it Sheldon? Shelton. That was so awesome, because I think that comparison can be a very good thing, but you have to learn how to do it and all that sort of stuff. So there are some very, you know, right from the beginning, that was what it is. And it was, you know, being proof of the product, showing up every day on my Instagram, showing that this wasn't a 1 month thing. And people still say to me now, oh, you're still doing that coaching thing. Yeah, I'm still doing that coaching thing, because I know that being in this, you know, in this community for both my physical health, my mental health, and for you lot, and being part of this is bigger than just me. And I very strongly feel that we are all here for a reason, and that we all have a purpose to fulfill, and that we are, you know, we're all made for a specific mission. And I honestly believe in my heart that that is to help other people and serve other people. And I have always started from that. And I always, you know, one of my philosophies and one of the sort of mantras, I guess, that has helped, you know, or I live by, is that I lead with my heart. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Sometimes people might think that might come across a bit like, woo, and maybe it does, but that's me, and I'm not going to change who I am for anyone. I'm not going to try and be someone else. I'm not going to try and be an Izzy Bradshaw or a Melanie Mitro or a Scotty Hobbs, because if you don't do you, people see straight through that. And I want to help people who know me and like me and trust me, and I'm not this one person on social media and then when they join our team I'm someone completely different. Because I think that there's so much power in coming into this community that if you're then showing up as someone very different on your social media than with your ladies, people are going to be like, what? And we know that this isn't a 3-month thing. Change doesn't happen overnight. So signing up with a quarterly bod, absolutely fine. But if you want retention of your customers, if you want people to really make changes in their life, that's not going to happen in 12 weeks. And if you're not authentic in how you're showing up, and then it's different, do you see what I mean? And there's a mismatch, then it's not going to kind of work. So I guess for me, like, that consistency is so key. And yes, sometimes it can be a ball ache pressing and play on a workout that you're really not enjoying, or you're absolutely knackered, or the kids have driven you to the point of, whatever it might be. There's all these things, but showing up for yourself first and pouring into you first and being consistent with your journey, and then being able to share with your, and I know you ladies do this really well, because, warts and all, you've got to be real, and you've got to share your struggles. I've got a note about that in a minute. But by doing that, people can see that yes, we have bad days, but that doesn't mean that we can't focus on us. And actually, how many of you have had people say to you, I haven't got the willpower, I haven't got the motivation. Where do you find those two things? You find those things when you're consistent. You find them when you press play every day, you focus on your nutrition, you do your personal development, you share your journey with others, and you pour into yourself more than anything else. If you cannot pour from an empty cup. And we've all got the same 24 hours in the day. It's how we use it. And I went to see one of my friends today, actually, and she's a police officer, and she's got this new house, not a new house, it's an old house that she's rebuilt, and she's literally, poor thing, she's celiac, she's got type 1 diabetes, she's got all this stuff going on, and she's like, how do you find the time? And I said to her, I was like, everyone has the same amount of time, you have to prioritize differently. And for me, I have to very much go, what's more important, the hoovering or getting my workout in? Well, the hoovering isn't going to add anything to my life apart from me not walking around on dirt. But that can, I need to do something for me, enable for me to be a better person for my family. And that starts with eating right, working out, because what do I want out of life? I want to be a good example for my girls, but I want to be, I want to be more content. I want to be more present. I want to be more joyful, more peaceful, more, all of those things. Like, these are words that I want to feel, and these are things I want to be every single day. And that starts with me being, doing my personal development, doing my workout, whatever it takes. Even when they decide to start getting up at 5:45 in the morning. So yeah, and I think then showing up and then being able to share that and share you, and continually doing that through the hardship, even if your stories are 24 hours behind, whatever it is, you are still doing that, and you are showing people that it doesn't matter what life throws at you, you can be mentally strong. But there is also something, I think, for me, about your weaknesses. And one of the things I always found a bit odd, and this is something that I think we think about, we're doing personal development. I've got all this list of, as long as my arm, of weaknesses and things that I've got to change about me. Okay, fine. But what about switching that a little bit? What about those weaknesses actually being a good thing? And how about those weaknesses actually being something that you can use to show how strong you can be, and to actually show that, they can actually, there is power in our weaknesses, and being able, because everyone else will, there's so many people who have the same struggles, have the same pain points. And I don't think it should be about getting rid of them. I think it should be about how you can change with them. So, you know, for example, you might not be the most positive person in the world, and you know that that's something that you really want to work on. So you don't just show up on social media and be this happy-go-lucky person, but you're doing things to switch your mindset, to think differently, you know, whatever it might be. And I think there's a lot of power in finding those weaknesses. And I was listening to some personal development today, and it is called A Purpose-Driven Life, and it is very goddy. But one of the things that he was talking about a story of, I can't remember who in the Bible, and about this guy in the Bible. His strength was running and being strong, and God struck him down and broke his leg. And so for the rest of his life, he had a limp. So he couldn't do his running. He couldn't do the thing that made him strong. And then all of a sudden he was hit with this weakness. But every day that was a reminder to him about the struggles that he's now facing, but he's now walking through life in a very different way and using his strengths in a different manner. So I think that sometimes we do think about, you know, all these struggles and things, they're the setbacks, they're the things that are holding me back, you know, whatever it might be, you know, whether it's things like time, or whether it's things like, you know, I'm too shy, or I'm too extrovert, or I'm too intense. I think it's about sometimes embracing some of those things and still showing up and still doing those things, because people connect with you when you are you, and you are real, and you are consistent in those struggles, and you're taking people on a journey with your own self-development. And like I said to you, some of you ladies, that when we had a bit of a chat yesterday, people see that consistency, and when you're still showing up 3 years later, they're like, oh right, so she's not going away, she's still focusing on herself. You know, the lady that I spoke to that's just started, she was the first one of the first customers I had a conversation with, and she decided not to join, but she's now seen me show up every single day for 3 years. She's seen how much I've changed, not just physically but mentally, and she's like, do you know what, why didn't I join you 3 years ago? But she wasn't ready. But I'm also a very different person, and I'm going to coach differently now than I did 3 years ago. So, you know, and I think that there's power in that. So doing that, doing all of those vital behaviors, but doing them and finding the fun in them is the important thing. Because again, people are going to see through them, through your messages, through your posts, through your stories, if you are not doing it with something that lights you. If for you, it's just about earning a quick buck, which for none of you this is, and if your heart is really about helping other people and inspiring them, whether they decide to join a challenge group or whether they're just going to continue watching you, you know, whatever it might be, there is power in keeping doing that if you really do feel that your purpose here is to help other people. And I know so many of you work, like, you know, you got a couple of you work in healthcare and that sort of stuff, so you completely get that. And yeah, I very much believe that, you know, we're not all here and we haven't been clumped together for no given reason. There's a reason why we're all here, and I think, you know, that's where we're leading with our hearts on our sleeves. But so personal development is something that I think through all of this, through COVID, through being pregnant, you know, so many people are Beachbody coaches, they get pregnant and they're like, fuck it, I'm just not, excuse my French, screw it, I'm not going to work my business anymore, I'm not going to invite people, I can't do it because I can't do these difficult programs. I just kept doing it. I'm telling you what, when I was doing Morning Meltdown last summer, I felt horrendous, but I still got up, I showed up, I did my workouts, I did the work, and some days, no, I didn't have fun, and some days I didn't enjoy it, but I kept doing it because I knew that if I wanted to keep helping and inspiring other people, then I had to keep doing it. And I had to show people that, yes, you can have a healthy and fit pregnancy and give birth very quickly and recover as well. And I think that, you know, there's so many people out there that don't feel that they can do that. And then sharing more about what the community has done for you. So people do feel lonely. There are people, you know, and we've all got our own avatars and the people and the target markets that we want to be helping. But above all, it is the community. I still struggle how to put that quite into words, because I don't feel like I'm the most articulate person at times, and I feel like I sort of say 20 words instead of, you know, when 4 will do. But I do think that being able to take advantage of those stories and the things that this has helped you with, and going back to, you know, that Kendra Hall stuff about what are the stories, how has it helped you, what it has really, really done for you personally, and sharing that every day. If you're sharing with people, you know, this community has helped me in way A, next day it's helped me in way B, it's helped me in way C and D. You know, I reckon you could each of you list 20 things that this community has done for you, mentally, physically, you know, relationship wise, whatever it is. And I would really encourage you to be writing those down. And I really love something that Carl Deichler talks about a lot, is talking about, you know, what was the problem, what was the solution, so what was, you know, and then what was the outcome from that solution. And being able to, you can do that in 3 Instagram stories, and I'm trying to do that, and that's perfect, but that is something when I talk to people in my one-to-one messages and they say to me, I don't have any time, and I say, do you know what, I was exactly the same. I had absolutely no time. This is my situation. But do you know what? I found these programs, they're only half an hour a day. And, you know, some of them are only 4 days a week. And this was the outcome. And actually now I feel amazing. So you can do that in your stories. You can do that in your posts. You do that in your DMs. And I'm sharing with people constantly what the community has done for me in that kind of problem, solution, outcome way. And I think that it gives a bit more than this community is amazing, or this has changed my life. Do you see what I mean? So it kind of really gives like that meat on the bones. So I hope, you know, that's something that I really like. I probably do more in my direct messages with people than I do in my stories and on my feed. But anyway, so through all of this, through having a baby, through moving, through the pandemic, I have always still, even if I wasn't working out, I have still tried to take at least 5 minutes to myself, not necessarily to sit down and read a book, because that just hasn't necessarily been, I've just not been able to do that, but to be able to focus on me and to listen to some of my internal dialogue, and to kind of, you know, do that, filling your own cup, even if it's only for 5 minutes, doing deep breathing, whatever it is, it has been a game changer for me. And the work that I did in Gabby Bernstein's manifesting challenge in January, and doing a lot of work and thinking about goals and my why in a slightly different way, has been really empowering. And I still go through that like 21-day cycle, because it's when I do it, the manifesting shit manifests itself. I have no fucking idea why it works, but I tell you what, when you dial into you and you think about how you want to feel and where you want to go and why you're here, and you know, it's all about then dialing into that service. And I think if you're, you know, when you're leading with your heart, and it's about serving other people, and it's about helping and inspiring other people, and we know that it's not just the fitness component, it's the mindset component too. When you're really dialing into that and reminding yourself every day why it is you're doing those things, that is, you know, that's really powerful. So even through all of this, I have never stopped journaling every day. I look at my vision board every single morning, or, you know, when I wasn't getting up and doing early mornings, I would look at it at some point in my day. I've got it on my laptop. I've also got it on my phone. And I journal about who I, you know, what I want to do, what my goals are, what my aspirations are, what my desires are. But I also write down things like how I want to feel, who I want to be, what does my life look like, what are the, you know, what are my oh my goodness, my affirmations. I was going to say attributions. What are the affirmations? But, you know, because really thinking like being in a growth mindset is possibly the most powerful thing and shift that I have made. And it's not necessarily about me changing how many hours I'm putting into the business. It has really been these small things and the internal dialogue that I say to myself, which has really been the kind of game changer, I think, for me. And focusing my personal development then on, well, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to feel, so making sure that that personal development matches up to those things. You know, if for example, if I don't know, one of the things that is that I'm just really goddamn lazy. Well, if you're really goddamn lazy, you shouldn't be building a business, right? But anyway, so if I'm then, you know, you then need to do personal development on, I don't know, 10x in your business or whatever it is. But if I was then going and listening to Gabby Bernstein's The Universe Has Got Your Back and I'm just a lazy bum, they're not aligning. So it's about making sure that the personal development that you are doing really, really, really aligns with the issue you've got right now. And if the book isn't serving you for that purpose, then you need to drop it and you need to pick up something that is going to help you. And that can be, it doesn't have to be a book, does it? It can be an Audible. It could be, you know, like this manifesting challenge that I keep going back and doing. It's got to be with whatever aligns. But I do think that for me, journaling, I'm writing those things down, and every day I write down what the goals are I have for the month, what the goals are for the rest of the year, and what the goals are every 5 years. And I write that down religiously every single day. I've got books, and here's my journal, this is the one I've got at the moment, books and books and books and books of these. And I write down, you know, for me, there's a lot about, I guess, you know, yes, it's the feelings, but it's about surrendering to some of those things and knowing that I'm on the right path. And you know, I journal every day. I'm adding value to people every day. I'm inspiring people to make changes. You know, I am a leader of leaders. You know, all those things, they have to be what you want for your life. And there is power in when you write them in the I am frame. It does make changes. And I think being in those, when you're constantly in that kind of state, when you're messaging, when you're doing your Instagram stories, you're almost, because that's how you're feeling. There is something that switches in your mind. If you're constantly in a state of telling yourself that you can't do this and why is no one joining and fuck, I've sent 50 invites and no one's said yes. That mentality, when I do that in my head, when I then invite other people, they'll get that feeling in what I'm saying. And I love voice notes, so they're really going to notice. So I think that there's something in that, and you know, the personal development. So I guess you're all like, well, that's brilliant, but what do I need to do? So I would absolutely say, like, the stories is a huge thing. Like, I think we all need to, and I need to do the same. All your pain points, like writing down, like going back, and this is something I learned from when I did the transformation coaching, going back to right early, from my earliest memories, and writing out the story of my life. What are the things that have been really good in my life? What are the hardships? I'm not saying you're going to be going and sharing all of these, but what are the things, you know, and you can do this. And that's the power of meditation, because when you meditate, you remember stuff that you didn't even know was in there. And I think that is really, you know, there's a lot of things that have come out for me, especially about my blocks around money, and all sorts of stuff that have come out from me doing my meditation. And any new stories, I write them down, because it's getting it out of my head. And these are things that I can share with people, maybe in posts, maybe in my stories, but you know, more importantly, when I'm connecting with people on a one-on-one level. And that is really what I have focused on, I think, in terms of the activities. So I'm still doing things like, I'm still, you know, connecting with people and, you know, adding people to my network and all of that sort of stuff. But I'm really focusing on building relationships with people. I'm focusing on making sure that I don't forget about the people that I invited 3 years ago, because they do come and go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm ready now. And it, you know, we always talk about, it's not a no, never, it's a no, not right now. So I've still got my no list in here, and I still look at that occasionally, and I still go back and connect people when it's, you know, when I do my follow-up time. And I think that that's really helpful. there's a few things that I have done. So I did a Nationally Sure 5-day thing a little while ago. And she did have a very easy, like, what is it, a 5 or 6 day cycle of how you can do posts. And I'll send you the document that she provided. And what I loved about the simplicity in that, it was essentially taking 6 different things. So you're not always like, this is my challenge group, come and join my challenge group, but it leads to a call to action. So we're not always kind of like, you know, because basically when you post, you're evoking some kind of emotion. And the 3 strongest emotions to evoke on social media, especially on Instagram, is something that is funny, something that makes you scared, or something that makes you think. And those are the 3 things. So those are things that people are looking at. Now, we don't really want to make people, you know, scared. We're not in for that shock factor, if you will. So scared, shock, that sort of stuff. So it's about thinking in all of your posts, what is the emotion that you want to drive? And we talk about avatars all the time, but when you write your post, rereading it and being like, do you know what? This isn't, I'm writing to me. I'm not writing to my ideal client. I'm not writing to the person that I'm trying to inspire or trying to help today. And I think that that is really, really important, because oftentimes we just go, fuck, I haven't posted and it's 10 o'clock at night. What the devil am I going to write about? And so we just write something that maybe be from our heart, but it isn't, you know, our pages are our shop front. So we have to be appealing to people when we're writing them. And that does include using, I'm not saying they've got to be picture perfect images, but it's got to be images that are relatable to people and people can kind of, you know, connect with. And I think that that's kind of important too. So relatable images, thinking about the emotion that you want to drive, and thinking about the purpose of your post. And she has this, you know, very basic, like 6-step approach, and kind of, because the whole idea is that it's taking your followers through a journey of discovery to be able to then kind of lead to that call to action and to share a bit more about what you're doing. And that can be on coaching or it can be on challenges. And I kind of quite liked that. So the first thing that she always does is she is trying to understand more about the people that she's following. So asking questions. So you'll remember, guys, I did that thing a little while ago. I was like, oh, can you go and comment on that post that's about, you know, what your pain points are, what your struggles are with your own wellness journey at the moment. So you're kind of trying to get a bit of a feel for who your followers are and what it is that they are struggling with right now, because then that's going to help you through the rest of the week be able to talk to those pain points. And you might know a lot of what those are. So from people that you've spoken to on the phone, people who haven't joined you, people that have said no to your invites, just generally in conversations, you know, and writing down those list of pain points. And then what I will do is I will pick one. So I think for her challenge, I spoke particularly specifically about time. So then taking that, then the second post being about taking a quote, and we all love a quote, don't we? But it being about one of those pain points. So if it's time, you're going to then pick a quote that's very much around time or what it is. And then you can relate that to your journey and, you know, it being about what your values are and your beliefs are. So then and that post is more about attracting people to you. So you're trying to show them, yes, I had an issue with time, but these are my beliefs and values about it. So you're kind of taking people through that journey and helping them break it down. Then the next one is a story post. So capturing your why. I'll put this document in the team page. So your why is it that you find 2% of your time to go and press play on a workout? And you don't need to like blah, 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 like, because we've all got a million reasons. It's just picking one or two and things that you feel that your followers are going to relate to. So then you've done and you've captured your why and why it's important for you to be healthy. You know, for me, for example, my parents are very unhealthy and I don't want my kids to feel the way that I feel about my parents, you know. And then moving that onto expertise, so understanding those pain points and then what is holding them back from taking action. So kind of trying to drill into that so you can then relate it to, well, I didn't think I had the time, and this was holding me back. I had school, I had work, I had this, I had that. So it's again progressing. These are my values, but I also had this issue too. I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be perfect. Next post is about mindset. And I quite like, we love mindset. But again, you can relate this to anything, talking about the community, talking about how your mindset has changed around your time management and your limiting beliefs that you had around, I don't have time to work out, for example. And then the final post is about inviting. So it's a call to action. So you're showing your followers, yes, I had this issue, but this is what I've done. Look, here are the things that I've shifted, and it's not necessarily been easy, and this is now where I've become. And then you're inviting people along the journey with you. These are the issues I had. This is how I've overcome it. So like we were doing the feel, felt, found stuff, this is the issue. This is how I've overcome it. Do you want to change it too? Is this your issues? And bringing people through that. By doing that, they're building trust. You're building relationships with them, and they're getting to know you a little bit more. And that is what this is all about. They want to know, they want a glimpse and an insight over what it's going to be and what it's going to be like when they're in your community. Why should they join you? There's, what was it? Carl said there's like 400,000 coaches in our network. So you have to, when you're talking to people, you've got to be you, because they, you know, it's not just about the programs. It's about the added value and what you add as a value, and the value, you know, in a challenge pack is negligible because you are that value. I really liked the simplicity. I've got 2 minutes. I really like the simplicity of that, and I will share that because I think it's really helpful, and it enables you to not sit there and go, oh fuck, what am I posting tonight? Because it's quite a nice stepped process. I'm going to stop talking. Fucking hell, I've just muted myself. I went to go and unmute you, Vic, because you looked like you had a question, and then I muted myself. But yeah, we can jump off, and then if you've got questions, and we can jump back on. That's absolutely fine. I hope that was helpful.
That was absolutely banging. I think you should share that with other teams, actually, because honestly, no, that was really quite inspiring. I was quite impressed.
Quite impressed. You're all right, you.
I think we needed it on the today, didn't we? After I was having a little whinge this morning, so we definitely needed this today.
I've been silently whinging for 6 fucking weeks. Maddie and I spent about half an hour bitching about how much we hate this program this morning.
Oh, you're hilarious. You're absolutely, you guys are so funny. Well, this is going to cut us off, so we will come back on, because like there is a couple of extra things that I wanted to kind of mention. But I don't know, before we get cut off, did anyone have a quick question? No. So I think one of the things, so, you know, I completely get it. It can be often like, well, the activity, I need to get the activity in. Yes, you know, the things are on this list because these are proven things that, for, you know, the working coaches, this is, you do these activities, your business will grow. But it's not about doing the activities, it's how you do them. And I think that is a huge difference, because if you were doing this